Hello beauties, I hope you're doing fantastic. Today I'm gonna play around with All Done Up palette from Blend Bunny. I'm so excited. I'm gonna make 3 eye looks for you and swatches. If that sounds good to you, I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's jump right into the video. Beauties, before we start with the first eye look, let's take a look at the swatches. Again, I do swatches on bare skin, no primer applied, and I use 2 swipes per color. Okay, let's jump into the first eye look. I already primed my eyes with Paint Relief from MAC. Still no nails. They're coming though. They're coming. I'm giving my fingers a rest. Friends, as you can see, the palette is pretty neutralish. I know it's surprising that I'm even featuring it, but hey, I love Blend Bunny. In fact, I had told you all that I would do a review of Primal. I got that palette, I want to say the same week or the following week to when the palette launched. I feel like at this point reviewing, putting that video up doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the video is probably me stuttering and it's an old video. I wasn't used to behaving like a normal human being in front of the camera, so I'll see whether I'm gonna post that video or I can actually create another video just doing a review of Blend Bunny. I have all their palettes, so I can do a comparison. Let me do that. I'll do that. Getting off topic, let's jump in. Literally, I think what she has tried to do is follow the same color tone, and you can go up and down and do one look with them. This is literally sort of dark olives, and then you have kind of reddish brick colors. Then you have gold mustardy colors. Then you have greens, but these are very cool toned greens, and then you have grays. So for someone who has never made an eye look, someone who's a super beginner, and frankly we've all been super beginners at things, so no judgment there. But if you're a super beginner and you don't know where to start, one thing you can do is just go down the row. You know what, I want to use the green here, so I'm gonna put this green in my crease. Okay, there's a lot of kick up. I'm now picking a smaller brush. We're literally going up this row as I mentioned, and I'm using the green colors because I'm a color lover. So friends, what I'm going to do is I am going to actually just do it across the lid. This isn't the best brush for what I want to do, so I'm going to pick a packing brush and go back into the same color and do the same thing. So I'm just literally doing this across my lid. I'm going to pick a fluffy brush and blend these edges into each other. The matte green looks a little bit lighter than I expected, so I just expected more color from it. And it is getting a tiny bit patchy. It's as if it's not sticking fully to my eyes. Now, it could also be that I just used Glaminatrix's Glamorous palette, folks, and that palette just has fantastic pigmentation, fantastic blendability. I'm going to tag my video here. That palette is just amazing. So maybe I'm just comparing it to something that I shouldn't be comparing it to, but I have very high expectation of Blend Bunny. Going now into the darker color with the smaller brush that I was trying to use for the other color, and I'm just going to deepen out the edge here. A lot of times pigments get patchy on your eyes because they don't have very good sticking power. I don't know what chemical or component it is inside eyeshadows that makes them stick to your eyes. When a good bit of that is missing, things get patchy faster because on certain parts of your eyelids they do stick, on certain parts they don't stick, so they just look patchy, and I'm experiencing a little bit of that. So a lot of times patchiness and a lot of kick up come together, you see them together. I have definitely seen eyeshadows with a lot of kick up that have had fantastic stickability, so it's not always the case, but I'm feeling a little bit of that here. I'm going with a flat brush into this dark color, and I'm gonna do my lower lid. I'm gonna go back with the first brush and I'm going to diffuse this color a little bit so it's not too strong. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of fallout on my face too. Okay friends, now I'm gonna pick a small brush and I'm gonna go into this, what looks like a very beautiful duochrome shimmer. Putting that color in my inner corner on both sides. I'm gonna quickly put some of this, which is Calming Circle from ColourPop from one of the Hocus Pocus collections, on my lips, and I'll be right back. Okay friends, my look is done. Just talking about first impressions, I don't know if you can see, the palette has quite a bit of kick up. I think you can see it's even gone into these other colors. Yeah, so there's a lot of kick up. A lot of it has dropped on my face as well. So there's that. As I said, some of the colors I feel like are not sticking as well to my eyes. Now, I usually don't judge palettes based on the very, very first usage. A lot of times things can behave differently on different eye primers and things like that as well. As I was using this, I started thinking to myself, this palette would be a fantastic complement to a lot of great multichromes that I have. So trying to incorporate multichromes into looks with these dark mattes, because the matte colors are pretty unique. This color right here is not a color I see very often. Even the ochre color is not a color you see very often. Same with this gray that looks like it has a dab of blue and or the green, and similarly with these colors as well. I love jewel tones, so I love this row. So I was thinking that I would love to work with this palette together with some specific multichromes that I have. And mentally, I'm just thinking maybe I'll create shorts of that. Let me know below if you would be interested in that. But as a general rule also, I usually buy these kinds of palettes that have a lot of mattes in brands that I trust pretty well to use as complement palettes. Because I think I've mentioned in the past that I have a lot of old shimmer palettes, and I'm not a full shimmer look type of a person. I'm also not a type of person who uses one eyeshadow looks frequently. So I need palettes that I can use in conjunction with those all shimmer palettes. And this kind of a palette would be a good palette for that kind of a usage. Similar to other palettes by Blend Bunny, that's how I usually use them. Let me bring the camera closer and show you this eye look from close up. Okay, beauties, let's go into this palette again. I already put some of this, what's the name? Juvia's Places I Prep I Prime primer on my eyes to prime the eyes, but this is the second eye look. Let's get in. I am going to use a little bit of this gray. This is one of those sort of grays with a hint of lavender. It's a color that I like, but it's actually not very easy to get right. You see, it's a nice color. I like it. I have a very versatile undertone, so I can use warm colors and cool colors on my eyes without having a lot of issues. I know if you have a warm tone skin, some of these gray tones might not go with your skin, or generally cool tones. I don't want to make a neutral look. And unfortunately, this palette by itself doesn't give a lot of versatility in that sense. I'm gonna go into this color now. I feel like I have to do a neutral look. I mean, this palette is 95% neutral. I'm literally just using a little bit of this. I'm trying to see if I can warm up the look. I'm now gonna pick this small brush and I'm gonna go into the green Muse. And I'm gonna just use the green. Now the thing about the green is that that brown color that we used has a very tiny hint of green. It's sort of olivey, so I could see that have a hint of green. So I think it would go with this green, and then the gray is cool toned, this green is cool toned, so I think they will all go together. I'm trying to make looks that are not standard, you know, just gray, black, silver. I do have some issues with the dark mattes here. I think I had same kind of issue earlier with the same matte in the first eye look. And then I'm gonna use the same brush, look up and just put it under my lower lash line. As close to the lash line as I can. That is that. Now a little bit of NYX. Tapping it at the center, tapping it in the inner corner area. I'm gonna go into this color, which is sort of a, not exactly gold, a bit kind of an olivey gold. This is exactly gold. This is sort of olivey gold. You see? And I'm going to put this right at the center. And then a small brush. Maybe I used this color before, but I'm gonna put a little bit in my inner corner. I do want this eye look to be a mix of cool toned and warm toned. So I'm just using this, which is sort of a cool tone because it has a hint of green. And I'm using a little bit of Monsieur Big mascara from Lancome. I don't know if you can see the smokiness, but it's a little bit of a smoky looking eye. So far the palette has been nice. I think this is gonna be a nice complement. What do people call it? Companion palette for a lot of other palettes. I already have an eye look up with this in my channel. I use it in one of my to buy or not to buys in conjunction with Plain Jane, which is an all shimmer palette from Adept. This is the first release. I think the packaging of their rebranded, remastered, whatever they're calling this now, is different from this. But I bought it at first launch, so it looks different. But this is a good companion palette, similar to other Blend Bunnies palettes. This green is a little patchy. Now, we also know in this channel that I do have some issues with dark mattes sometimes, not always. So maybe it's me, maybe it's me. Maybe it's not the green. I think in my next look, I'm gonna try to use some of these warm tones because I haven't really used them yet. In a lot of reviews I see of this palette online, people are raving about this palette as if it's something they've never seen before, which kind of surprises me because with the exception of this green row, it's literally a neutral palette. You can make a lot of looks with it, perhaps cool looks and so on, but I wouldn't say there is anything in here that I've not seen before. In fact, I think this kind of color combination is the most common kind of color combination I've seen. Again, with the exception of the green row. So I don't know if that's influencers just trying to sell us things or... Now, I'm the type of person who I love Blend Bunny palettes. I love having them to use as companions to other palettes, all shimmer palettes as I mentioned. So I'm happy about having this palette. No complaints there. But I did want to mention that because I don't want anybody to go buy this palette thinking they're going to get something out of this world that they have never seen before. This is going to be yet another neutral palette, friends. Now let me bring the camera closer and show you this eye look from close up. Okay, beauties, we are going to go into the last eye look. I'm thinking about doing something a little warm because all the other looks were cool toned. So using these colors over here, I'm excited to use this sort of a reddish, silverish shimmer right there because it's sort of a unique color that I haven't seen a lot in other palettes. I'm gonna use this in my crease. And you might already see a little bit of raccoon eye going for me with my primer, which is from Juvia's Place. And when I say raccoon eyes, obviously I don't mean black, but sort of a orangey, yellowy around my eyes. Maybe the lights don't make it so obvious, but this primer is not the color of my skin. So, and you know, usually people use lighter colors. This is actually darker than my skin tone, so and it's more yellow. I have a cool undertone, but this is very yellowy, so it's okay because for 90% of the time I'm gonna put a color over it. But just saying, if you see my eye area a different color, that is why. I do have to say though, the primer has worked for me so far. I've used it on multiple eye looks, and it's been good. I've used it with different palettes. I'm now going to go into close up, and I'm going to use this color sort of on my lid right there. There it goes. These colors are blending together so well. They're very pigmented. The palette is mostly neutral tones, so I'm going to use this color called Ready. It's not difficult making eye looks with it because neutrals go with pretty much most colors. You can combine them with different types of shimmers, no problem. I also like just a neutral look like this. Now, if I were to just do neutral, I would blend it out a little more. I'm using the same brush and I'm going to just do my lower lash line. Now using some NYX glitter primer. And as you can see, I don't have nails on. I'm just putting it here. I'm giving my nails a rest. Going into Wink. Beautiful color, very wet looking. I love it. And I'm just, ooh. Okay, this color is very cool toned. I was not expecting that. Super cool toned. It's literally, from this angle, it's literally silver with maybe a hint of pink. It's not what it looks like in the palette. I'm just doing this. And my eye look is done. Let me put a lipstick. I'll be right back. Okay, beauties, I'm back. On my lips, I put this color from ColourPop. The name of the color is Calming Circle. It's from one of the Halloween collections some years ago. Let's talk about the palette for a minute. I really like the palette. I think the blendability is fantastic. And it's a great companion palette with palettes like this, which is Plain Jane by Adept, all shimmer palette. And I've already used the two in an eye look in one of my to buy or not to buys. I'll tag it here. And that capability is possible because of the plethora of neutral colors in this palette. I mean, literally, if you remove this green row, everything else is just neutrals and browns. And neutral colors give you extreme flexibility because neutral colors generally go with every color. If you mix complementary colors, you get brown. So brown essentially is a variation of pretty much any color. And that's the whole point of calling them neutrals, because they're supposed to go with pretty much everything, which is part of the reason why neutral colors generally look good on everybody. Now, we can get pedantic there, but let's not for the sake of this video. Let's be honest, this is not something we haven't seen before. Would I use this palette again? Yes. But the reason isn't because these colors are so different and so vibrant and so fantastic and, you know, change the game, but because the quality is good. It's a Blind Bunny palette after all, and they blend well together, and that they go with a lot of other colors. Would I repurchase this palette if I knew what I know now? I don't know, maybe not, because the palette is a lot more neutral than I expected, and neutrals are the most common colors out there for makeup, so getting them right is not that big a deal to me. Now, because I don't have a lot of neutrals in my collection, it's nice to have a good neutral from a brand that I trust and I like, but if I had the option of purchasing today, I would probably not repurchase this palette. Let me now bring the camera closer and show you this eye look from close up. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. You can also add me on Instagram. I am planning on becoming more active on my Instagram account this year. Fingers crossed. Thanks again, friends. I love you all. Have a fantastic day, and until next time. Bye.